Evening War Report. The fighting in Lebanon is picking up some, but it's predominantly focusing on the border between Lebanon and Israel. Most of the residents near the border are evacuated, probably like 95%. Israel has over 100,000 people displaced from their houses at this point because of the wars with Gaza and Lebanon. I think it's even 140 or 50,000. I don't know if they have accurate numbers. It's quite high. People on the Lebanese side of the border are starting to evacuate too. They're moving up higher into Lebanon. We struck targets today 42 or 45 kilometers inside Lebanon, which is further than we normally would ever go. So we're expanding and Lebanon's expanding, and they're talking about invasions, and the generals in Israel are telling us that we're almost at the halfway point with Gaza, and the next half of the war is going to be worse and longer. Why? They don't tell you why. They just tell you. What else? More tunnels and mosques and things like that are popping up. The hostages that I think there's about 15 of them in serious psychiatric treatment in hospitals for trauma, a lot of sexual abuse. Women hostages were saying they were kept in people's apartments with the families and the children living in the apartment while they were kept there. One woman saying every Palestinian is against Israel, like Hamas, you know. Syria, we get little, occasionally we get something shot at the Golan Heights, not a lot. There's not a lot of updates on the Houthis in Yemen, but I'm sure they're still trying to cause problems, but there's a marked absence of ships using the Red Sea. Israel's got their land route pretty well lined up where ships will come into Egypt or Haifa or the UAE and then go by land through Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, and so forth. Shut up, Yafa, please. So they'll bypass the Red Sea. So I don't think Israel has much desire to go start up with the Yemenites. Yemen said they're with the Houthis now, so their combined ranks come up to about 200,000. It's a big war. The only way America is going to stop that, I think, if they bomb Yemen heavily, not light, heavily, like, 800 or 900 bombs, the Houthis and the Yemenites may throw the towel in, and just go back to what they were doing. I'd give that a 25% chance. 75% chance they won't stop. Look at Hamas. They still haven't stopped. The rockets are down, I don't know, 85, 90, 95%, very heavy. They're still shooting. And they're fighting with the soldiers. They don't have a chance of winning. They're still fighting. They sent some people, Hamas did, to Egypt to give them their answer tomorrow about proposals for ceasefires and stuff like that. But all the indications are that nothing is going to happen. Their demands are a permanent ceasefire, and they want us out of Gaza. So, that's suicide. That's just saying I don't know, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, 6 weeks, I don't know when they'll start up again. What's the point? Let me thinking what other stuff in the Middle East is really going on. Now we switch to America. Fox News is really blasting Biden. This is Fox News. They're saying, no one could tell me what's good about these immigrants coming in. On one of their latest broadcasts, they said there's 24,000 from China. And they're saying these were, intelligence and military agents. That's what they believe they are on Fox News. 24,000. Venezuela, Maduro is working with putting people up there into America. They say they're afraid he's emptying the prisons out. In other words, they're taking, real crazy people, murderers, serial rapists, child molesters, and sending them up to America. Texas has authorized the arrest of thousands of illegals coming into Texas. Now, this is taking things closer rapidly to rule of fighting ruler, the Jeremiah prophecies in Jeremiah chapters 50, 51 about daughter of Babylon, because Biden is not, in my opinion, going to let Texas close his border. Okay? But, they call Texas governor up on the phone and say, cut this stuff out, and he doesn't cut it out. What are they going to do, arrest him? I mean, they got to start, taking them into the federal courts, which Texas has no chance of winning in, I would say. And this takes you closer and closer to succession, which really, when you say ruler fighting ruler, you need rulers, which means they got to rule something. So minimally they're a city or a county, but most likely a state. And all roads lead to succession. Okay? That's where this is headed. Okay? And this being broadcast all over the televisions in America, which it is making more and more people awake that Biden is selling the country out. What else do you think it is? I mean, nobody's coming up with good reasons why the immigrants should be allowed in. For instance, there's no debates. The five on that news show and the others are not sitting there debating with experts what's good about immigration and what's bad with this type of immigration. So nobody's stepping forward and explaining the government's actions for leaving the borders open. They're also taking an approach now by talking about all the children that are being grabbed from the refugees or the immigrants, whatever you want to call them, the families that are coming there. They're grabbing the children and selling them as, sex slaves to pedophiliac rings. That's what they're saying. They're blaming it on the cartels. They're saying they start to reach America and they never get there. But of course, the military age males aren't getting anywhere because if the cartels start up with them, there's going to be retribution. They'll be, straightened out by, Iran or China or Russia or Venezuela or somebody. They're not about to do it. They work with these people. They're also blaming this on the fentanyl epidemic. China, specifically, manufacturing fentanyl and sending it through the open borders. From what I understand, the fentanyl problem is rather vast. I don't know much about the drug. I just do know that the anesthesiologists that get addicted to drugs will get addicted to fentanyl more than any other drug. Fentanyl is a fast-acting, heavy narcotic, and it doesn't have a long half-life. So what that means is you could take fentanyl at, let's say a doctor's doing a surgery, right? And he has the anesthesiologist there. Well, the surgeon and the nurses aren't really paying close attention to the anesthesiologist. So if he's supposed to put 1 cc of, let's call it fentanyl, in the IV for the patient, he puts in a little less, like 3/4 of a cc. But he logs 1 cc, right? And he does that, maybe every 40 minutes, every 20 minutes, whatever the timing needs to be. And then when it's over, he's got himself a nice dose of fentanyl. So he goes into wherever he goes. A lot of doctors maintain apartments near the hospitals they work in, like across the street, 2 blocks away, whatever. So he doesn't have a surgery for, 3 or 4 hours. So he goes back to the apartment, shoots up his fentanyl right? Hangs out, does whatever. Drug addicts basically like to sleep because they go out, go on the nod. And, maybe for an hour and two, and then he wakes up, takes a shower. But if he takes more like morphine type drug or something like that, he's going to be sluggish and goofy for maybe, 5 hours, 6 hours. But with the fentanyl, it's very fast. It gets out of the system quick. It's a very heavy drug. So if somebody's in really bad pain, like from heavy trauma, they'll give them fentanyl. They got fentanyl lollipops they could suck on and all kinds of things. So you could take fentanyl by the mouth. You could take fentanyl all kinds of ways. I don't know much more about it than that. I guess it's probably reasonably cheap because they're flooding it. China's not looking to turn a big profit on the fentanyl. They're looking to destroy America. That's an old trick. They did it to the American soldiers in Korea. They did it to them in Vietnam. It's an age-old trick. Okay. I'm thinking. So the fact that Americans are being woke up by the media, the television in particular, is getting them madder and madder at the Biden administration. And that could be part of Biden's snare plan because he wants the country into civil war. That'll destroy the country, allow an invasion. So that's the purpose of the sleeper agents coming across the open border. There's so many now, like I've been saying, I believe they're in sufficient strength to form, battalions and divisions and stuff like that, and they could swarm military bases. And while I don't think they would be that interested in occupying military bases, I could be wrong. They may or may not be interested in grabbing heavy-duty military equipment like tanks and helicopters and planes and using them. Remember, these are military people coming in. So they could have pilots and helicopter pilots and tank drivers and all kinds of things like that, right? And when you're talking about millions, they could, how many people does it take to get a military base off guard? If they came with, 5,000, 12,000? What if they came with 40,000 and just swarm it? You see what I'm saying? Military bases got security. They got guys at gates, where they got 3, 4 with rifles and pistols. And then they got guys in jeeps riding around the perimeter, riding around the interior, again, with pistols and rifles and radios, cell phones, radios. But they don't have, 800 or 900 guys in bunkers or behind sandbags with heavy machine guns and mortars and shoulder-fired weapons and, or forget 8 or 9, let's say 2,500 or something, right? Guarding the place. So you could overrun these places. And Biden may make sure of that. He may help them. I don't know. He's leaving the border open. Nobody. See, if there were good reasons for this border open, they'd be on TV having debates. And the administration would be talking about why it's a good thing for America. But they're not even doing that. The Republicans in the House are trying to dig deeper in the investigation, which is the investigating Biden for impeachment. They're aggressively pursuing that even more so now. But it's too late. You got to get it. It's just too late. The door's been open. The cow's out of the barn. And there's millions of them in America already, and they're spread throughout the whole country. And going around playing roundup with them is going to would take years. If hypothetically, out of the clear blue sky, for some reason, Trump was president, and he was president for 4 years, there wouldn't be enough time to get them all out. And the amount of money and time and effort would be massive. Remember, Biden processed them in what's considered to be a legal fashion with amnesty, where they're getting trial dates of 2031. So that means that America would have to process them through courts with judges, immigration courts, and legally go through process to get them out. And when you're talking, no, Yafa, and when you're talking in the millions, it would take more than 4 years. It would take a lot more. Prophetically, you don't have that kind of time. So 24,000 Chinese now, that's pretty scary. Texas arresting them, officially arresting them, is going to get Biden's irritated, because Texas is a big border and the governor of Texas is closing it. Now, Biden might back off. Biden might say, well, the time's not right for this. Let's just let him do it. We'll ignore it, So then Arizona will do it, and then the other border countries, California never will. Never. So they can just run them through California. Will all the other states shut it off? No, I don't think so. I mean, Texas is Texas, but doesn't mean every state with a small border with Mexico will. So they just have to shift their approach as to where they go in, So it's stirring up. There's very little sea traffic going through the Red Sea now. Some of the big shipping lines may try running convoys with the American Navy to see what happens, but it's a dangerous game, because you can't convince leaders of multi-billion-dollar corporations that the anti-missile systems on these Navy ships are 100% effective. One missile gets in and the ship is gone, and the losses could be, $10 billion, $5 billion, $800 million, depending what they're carrying. It could be mass losses. Billions of dollars would not. It'd be pretty high, but a large container ship that has, thousands of containers on it or something like that, or many hundred, the cargo could be very valuable. Plus the ship is valuable. Plus the crew. I mean, it could get to the billion, definitely in the hundreds of millions. I heard gold hit the highest it ever was, period, earlier today. I didn't check what it was, but 2 days ago, I think it was as high as $2,060. So it's over 2,100. So it's on its climb. Silver, last I checked, wasn't really going up that much. It was still not really over $25. What I think will happen is people are going to watch this and, watch. When gold gets to 2,500, over 2,500, which it looks like it will pretty soon, the people are going to start buying gold like crazy, and they may not be able to shut it down. But a lot of people are going to say, wow, it's too much. I don't want to invest that much, blah, blah, blah. And you'll see silver climb. But you see, for gold to triple, it would have to go to something, like $6,000, $7,000, or whatever, something in there, over $6,000 an ounce. Where silver would just have to go to $75 an ounce. So it would be a lot easier to see your money triple with silver than it would with gold. But I could be wrong about this. And a lot of people are just going to invest in paper gold or paper silver, which is stupid. In other words, they're not going to have physical possession. And if you don't have physical possession, and the trading runs a mark up or down, they'll just close trading and your money is stuck. You may never see it again ever for eternity. But if you have physical gold and silver, you have it. So that's about the state of the art. So I'm putting a lot of energy on watching what's happening in the daughter of Babylon, America, which is, there's a lot happening, okay? A lot happening. We don't hear boo from the militias. Years ago, like maybe 10 years ago or 8 years ago or something, they were talking there was like 6 or 8 million militia in America. I imagine it's 12 or 15. And they are pretty savvy about the federal government, and they take great pains to secure their communications, where they're not easily monitored, and they don't do press releases, and they don't meet the press, and they don't talk, and a lot of their planning is probably done in person, where it's not even electronic communication, and they vet people, and the government may have agents in there, they may have informants, but these militia people are really on guard for that, and they're pretty careful and smart about this stuff. So they're gonna rise up when they get scared and mad enough. Two things: scared and mad. Americans, if they got food on the table, they got their internet, their cable, they got heat, they got gas in their car, and they go to sleep at night, without being in a bunker underground or something, they're probably never going to rise up. But if you see, there already are illegals, or as they call them, these sleeper agents, Trojan horses in America, and they know about it and they haven't risen up. It's not enough. There's going to have to be action taken. That's going to affect them, and then they'll rise up. And the government doesn't care. So, it's all the water is boiling, and it's ready to boil over. It's not going to take much longer, really. Russian-Ukraine war is still going on. That's about it. So I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out.